Classic Anniversary is gonna release Anquirash and is most likely going to open right on top of Misto Pandaria. This was such a stupid idea. I thought they weren't gonna do it. I thought they were gonna delay the entire phase just for that, and it turns out I was wrong. Sadly, the date is set in stone and there is little point in complaining about it at this point, but we should either way go over this because you may draw some insight for it. As you guys know, Anquirash has the effort, the war effort before the raid opens, where the entire server has to pool resources to open the raid proper, and the start of that event is gonna be on July 10th. The war effort begins July 10th at 3 PM PDT. Aid your faction in opening the gates of Anquirash, granting access to the ruins of Anquirash and the Temple of Anquirash raids for your server. That's AQ20 and 40, of course. Be the first to ring the Scarab gong to get the Scarab Lord mount, you know, that tab. I am not working on that, screw that. Okay, here, the war effort details. The war effort is gonna begin, and each faction can turn in an immense amount of resources that, once they are completed, will require 5 days to be transported to Silitos. Due to the raid requirements in the quest line leading up to the Bank the Gong quest, the earliest that the ringing can occur on highly motivated realms could be just over a week later. So they expect us to farm all the materials for AQ in about a week, and it's gonna take 5 days after that. So we're looking at 7 plus 5, that's 13 days after the launch, and that would land us, if their math is right, and I am not sure that their math is right, on July 23rd. As you guys know, Misto Pandaria Classic is coming out on July 21st, so that means that AQ40 is coming out 2 days after Pandaria pretty much. They also put a lockout mechanism where if after 15 days the content is not unlocked, it's gonna slowly pile up more resources until it eventually opens up. So they are basically gonna force the release of Anquirash eventually if your server is low population. I know the Australian people were asking about that. Given the state of the, I forgot the name of the Australian server, Spine Shatter was it? Yeah, like those people would never get AQ on their own, just they do not have the population for it, but thankfully they are gonna be able to play AQ anyway, so that's cool. Once you complete the Scepter of the Shifting Sands, be first to complete the Gong quest to get the Scarab Lord mount, yada yada. Once the Gong is rung on a realm, the 10-hour war begins, offering players 10 hours to finish their quests and earn their Scarab Lord mount as well. So you gotta get the entire reputation and crap to get the Scarab Lord quest line. It's a ginormous time sink. I don't care about it. I don't think many people are gonna be farming it, honestly, because what's the point, right? It's like the 4th version of vanilla. Nobody's gonna care. But yeah, if you want that rare mount, I guess you could go for that. Ringing the Gong can only be done by players who have completed all the quest line of the Scepter of the Shifting Sands before the 10-hour window. Players can use the proxy of Nos Dormu to deputize other players to help them amass the deleted Carapace fragments. So that's like the only way you can achieve the Scarab Lord rep is to have other people farming it for you, basically. That's what it means. But very well, we're getting all the AQ40 loot. I made a video on it. Dwarf Lord made a reply to my video. I basically added up that it was going to be a 3.5 DPS different, 3.5%. Dwarf Lord says it's going to be 6.5% on his numbers. So there you go. That's the expected reward from AQ40 if you get every single loot drop. Now, personally, I think this sucks. It's gonna force me to choose. As you guys know, I am gonna be streaming the launch of Pandaria. I actually was kind of excited to get something fresh in between the two tiers, and I thought them delaying AQ for a month was gonna be a good sign of, you know, we can get a little chill, hoard some gold for AQ. I couldn't find any gold before AQ. I should have started earlier, I guess. I get it. I hoarded a couple rings. Maybe those investments are gonna pay off, but overall, I would say I am woefully underprepared for AQ. Money-wise, and the prospect of having to farm likely over 1,000 gold just to do like two weeks of AQ40 progression on top of Pandaria launch, which is the one thing I actually want to do, it really sucks. So I'm gonna have to see what I'm gonna do about that. Like basically, guys, here's my thing about AQ. Blackwing Lair and Molten Core you can easily do in a single night on most competent guilds. We're looking at like 2 hours to like 4 hours raid night if you consider like getting everything gold going and getting the loot out and stuff like that. Most guilds are gonna take them like 2 to 4 hours to do Blackwing Lair and Molten Core. That's a single night. When AQ comes out, that's gonna take probably 4 hours on its own to do progression on the first week. Unless you're like the literal top 1%, if you're a decent, good guild that is doing everything right, it's still gonna take you a couple more hours to get everything going. Just you gotta start over the muscle memory again, you gotta get everybody to remember the mechanics. The first raid is never good. It's just the way it is. Also, people are a lot more cautious. They save the wall buffs for Khotun, so you are gonna be clearing most of AQ without wall buffs, unless you're a speedrunner. So yes, the time sink on AQ is gonna be big. That is 2 flasks instead of a single flask for a night, for example. That is a hell of a lot of elixirs, because let's face it, you are probably going to die several times doing AQ the first week. We are gonna be using a lot more potions because the fights are a lot longer, so if you're a caster, mana potions are already spiking. Mana potions are gonna be a huge gold sink for you. And of course, we're gonna need nature protection, we are gonna need frost oils, which are gonna spike in value. I actually gotta farm my dagger to even be able to DPS Viscidus. You gotta freeze him like 40 times, then he freezes over and you break him, right? That mechanic, you gotta prepare for that as well. So overall, I am looking at a very busy week or 2 weeks when AQ comes out. And I feel betrayed. I feel like I got screwed over by dropping it on top of Pandaria, because I will either have to take a break from doing AQ or not be able to enjoy the launch of Pandaria. And I love expansion launches. I think expansion launches, even if the expansion is not something I like, they are always hype, they are always fun to do. You know, all my homies are playing together. I am doing dungeons with like Jerome and Ebonheart and Hammer and whoever else is right there, you know. And being denied that little enjoyment out of the game I get like once or twice a year just because they want to drop AQ early, I don't think I'm doing it. I am really mad. Regrettably, we are not gonna change their minds, so my words are wasted on that, and honestly, I simply do not like AQ. I feel that if I liked AQ, I would be a lot more accepting of this entire thing, but the truth of the matter is I don't. I do not enjoy AQ. In every private server I played, I almost always end up quitting shortly after AQ, or I end up going casual, because I do like AQ20. I think AQ20 is awesome. Buru the Gorger is actually my favorite boss in all of vanilla. I know, I am a weirdo. After the rank 14 and all the time sink that involved, getting everything ready, getting a good clear in BWL, we're gonna start over in AQ for gear that I honestly don't really need. I don't care if it's 3.5% or 6.5% more damage. Will it really matter when we hit Nax Ramas if we got 6.5% more damage or not? I don't even need the HP anymore. I am like super tanky. I am full PvP gear. So yes, I feel this entire update is very demoralizing, and I don't know, I would like to hear from you guys. I assume most of you, I make a mostly vanilla content, so I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of you do not care about Pandaria, and in that case you are probably very happy, so I completely understand that. I wanna say that it is very hard for Blizzard to balance out what they wanna do, because let's say they do delay AQ40, I know a lot of people would be mad too, so to be fair, I know they could never please everybody. I do think it's kinda silly to sabotage an expansion launch. What this could mean actually is that they are really in a hurry to get TBC out. The accelerated 12-month timeline would indicate that they wanna get TBC out by November, so that means they only got 5 months to do AQ and wrap up Nax Ramas, right? And they probably wanna get a good at least 2 months in Nax, because Nax Ramas is the part that everybody wants to play actually. Like, I don't think there is that many people that actually care about AQ. I am sure if you were to ask most people, they would gladly skip AQ for Nax. You know, like if they said tomorrow, we are releasing AQ along with Nax, I think most people would be happy. But yes, I actually want to know from you guys, are you gonna sacrifice Pandaria for this? Are you gonna sacrifice Anniversary for this? What are you gonna do about this? Do you even care? I know a lot of people are not gonna care. TBC hype? Subscribe, join the Discord, and thank you for watching.